Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today I have two gentlemen with me. Whoop, whoop. And honestly, I want to understand men even better. So today we have Gideon here with me and Rinaldi. Yay, say hi to the people.
What's up? How's it going?
Who are you?
As you have said, I'm Gideon. I'm my father, wife, husband, sorry. Husband. We're going to cut this off, right? Okay. Husband.
The man wants to say that his wife is behind the camera. Just consider.
Yeah. Wife is over there. Yeah, husband, father, son.
Yeah.
And I am a child of the Lord. That is
amazing. The most important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rinaldi.
Yeah.
I happen to be her producer, I'm very excited to be here. Father, just like him. Son, just like him. Husband, just like him. Not not reverend, but in my home I'm a priest.
Of course.
So we are priests. Kabisa. So I'm very excited to be here and looking forward to this strange, tough conversation. Likely to receive some daggers along the way after this goes out, but we'll survive. We're married. So there's nothing to fear.
No fear. All right. So actually, yesterday night, I asked Steve a question. I'm like, babe, between men and women, who do you think has it easier in life? And I waited for his answer. He was like, so confidently and without overthinking, sure, women have it easier. I almost finished that. I was like, how do you even think that you have it easier? I mean, we have it easier because, of course, as women, we feel like, oh my God, we are carrying so many loads that men just don't seem to carry. Because again, I don't know.
That's
do you get
very key word.
seem? Yeah, and I'm very open to say seem because I feel like the men do one thing, provision. After that, we are doing everything. So anyway, the truth is I'm here to learn. I'm here to understand and pick your brains on a few discussions. So before we start, first answer that question. Be open-minded, don't be as if, who do you think has it easier? And I know it's not a competition, etc. But sometimes you're going through life like, the men have it easier. Oh, we have it easier as men. Is that true?
I'll give you an answer that I have gotten, it has evolved over time. So previously I thought we who are men, have it a lot easier because, there is a lot of talk out there, generally by women, that they have it a lot harder. That's what has been ingrained in us for a long time, that women carry a lot more burdens. You have no idea how giving birth is a completely, you can't.
Like even the facial expression.
So it's so for a long time growing up, it's kind of what had been ingrained until I became a man myself. I decided to and began to carry the weight of what a true man ought to be carrying. The issues that we have to aggressively deal with in terms of what our society demands of us, in terms of what the family demands of us, in terms of what we ourselves demand of ourselves. And it has since shifted from they have it easier to now I can't speak for them, but I don't have it easy. But you see, they don't know. Because they can't carry the burdens I do carry, even if they wanted to. Neither can I carry the burdens they carry, even if I wanted to. I can't give birth, right? But also the weight of the headship and leadership that is placed on a man as it should be, not as what society has defined it as. I think you cannot relate as a woman because the burden is weighty on the man. And the key word is weighty. I haven't said it's weightier. I've said it is weighty.
English, yeah.
And because I cannot speak for you, nor can you speak for me, we'll just say I can no longer move. I can no longer answer that question saying I think the burden is heavier on the women, but I won't say that it is not
heavy on
me.
Yeah. Nice one. Rinaldi.
So I think for me, it's like it's sort of a catch-22, where indeed there are spaces and places where it is more difficult for the women.
Yeah.
And then there are spaces and places where it's more difficult for the men. So allow me, I mean, being a father, allow me just sort of use the analogy of, you know, how a child comes into being.
Yeah.
There's pressure to perform in the field.
That's true.
I think I say this always. There's a video I think I've watched where the guy sort of asks his girlfriend or wife, I do not know, to act like she's in the act, right? And she could not even do it more than a minute. You get what I mean? Okay, in terms of as if she's the guy.
Yeah.
And she failed miserably. And yet
To be the guy.
Gideon is expected, or myself is expected, to go 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. Man, that's tough.
It's tough. And not just
So when God has really done it for you, and in those 7 minutes, 20 minutes, whichever it is that God allows you to do, there's something that happens, procreation happens.
Yeah.
So the journey for the woman begins, the tough side of things.
Yeah.
And so she has all these 9 months of, you know, throwing up, sickness. Everyone has their own story. Some will tell it's been an easy journey, but I'd like to say overall, most women will have a tough season through those 9 months, including the last day when the baby. And why it's also tough is because in that moment, it's a matter of life and death. Okay? God willing, both of you come out nice.
I like how you're going, yeah.
Man is just there sweating and looking excited. Some men even run away. Now, either baby goes, mother stays, or mother goes, baby stays, or in worst case scenarios, both go. That's tough.
It's tough.
No man can claim to even understand. I'm always there in the room with my wife, but at no point can I claim to understand what she's going through.
Yeah.
We are together.
Correct.
Now, what happens is the change for a man starts the moment they say he's a boy or she's a girl. Because in that instant, whereas you've seen the gestation of 9 months happening, the reality hasn't yet checked in. That actually you have to start planning of school fees worth 3 million shillings every term in the next 2-3 years. And when you look at your vineyard, the plants are not enough, the trees are not enough to sort you out.
Yeah.
And so pressure has begun. You already have your wife, you're dealing with her.
Okay.
You probably already have a first child, it's just crazy.
Okay.
So we all sort of have different phases where it's tough. Now at that point also the lady has her tough season, probably milk is not enough, you know, waking up at night. These days we also wake up at night. Tough times for everybody.
Yes.
Because you'll see her, she's tired, she's tried, and she's just wasted. And the idea is, how do you be that partner? It's tough for all of us. Meanwhile, now you're on maternity leave. I have 4 days. Okay, there's a conversation to increase it to over 6 days over a week. I don't know.
Cannot be enough.
But it can't be enough for me to support you as fully as should. But either way, after those 5-6 days are done, the truth is I'm going back to the hustle. And guess what? At 2 a.m. you're going to tell me I'm tired. Get your child. Now me, I'm going to be there up to 4 a.m. and I have to still perform at the office. And guess what? You're going to call me after 2-3 days. Diapers are done. Where are you? Chilling at home?
Chilling.
Chilling.
Not about chilling.
Chilling.
But,
Yes.
Chilling.
Chilling in quotes.
Okay.
Yeah, because as far as the guy is concerned, you're at home. You see, being at home for a lot of men is almost like at least you're not around and about. I've probably paid for you to have a maid or two. Like you have help. Me, no one is helping me in the office. When I have to do the presentation, I'm the one standing there. When the deadline is clocking, I'm the one supposed to meet it. Okay. Or you get.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing,
it's a catch-22. Everybody in their space
has their own hard.
Yes.
Has their own hard, and from what I'm hearing, it's hard to understand the other person's hard because you're not in that place, but that does not eliminate the presence of your hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Or the other's hard.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So no need to dismiss anyone's hard. Men can't have it easier, women can't have it easier.
All right. Okay. So we now dive into the conversation. That was starter. Guys, we are going to the main meal.
That was so deep. Yeah.
I know, it was. But yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So I have some questions that I want to ask you guys. And we're going to be talking about masculinity and feminism. Yeah? And I just want to ask, I know this might also go another 10 minutes. Are you a feminist? Or do you believe in what it stands for and things like that?
Yes, I believe I am a feminist.
Tell us more.
I think at the core, feminism is the belief that women have the same equal rights and equal socio-economic and political aspirations.
Yeah.
And I think anyone that goes against that notion is advancing an evil.
Yeah.
And so from my standpoint, I am a Christian man, and from that place alone, I would declare myself as a feminist, if that is the definition I'm going to be going with.
I love how you said, if that is the definition. Rinaldi, are you a feminist?
I would say yes. Similarly, I mean, biblically, we are equal before God, and therefore, what rights they have as women before God should be accorded to them. They should not be seen as lesser just because they are women. Yeah, and so where there are opportunities, and things that allow them to thrive in society, we should be, even husbands should be able to support their wives to the extent that they thrive in this life that God has given us.
I love that. But we know for sure that these days feminism is not just that. It's so many things. It's women against men, or it's women saying, my body, my rights, I can do anything, And for me, that's where I'm just like, I don't know if I am feminist, and that whole agenda. So I just want to know, with the whole feminism movement, because now women, of course, have rights, women are earning more, women sometimes now want to lead and be the man, they are CEOs and they have all this. How do you think or feel that affects masculinity? I'll start from Rinaldi.
So, this is one of those stinging points, but allow me to first and foremost say that feminism also has its extremes, and I don't stand for any of those. That one, I'll say it, point blank. But also just dialing back a bit to where we've come from, where women were sort of put under the rug.
Yeah.
And now what happens is, for very many years, we've seen women empowerment, girl-child empowerment, and what that has done is, it has affected the man because a lot of men have been ignored because everybody has been focusing on the women. Now, this might not be feminism in that sense, because it's also not extreme. There was purpose, there was reason. It's just that somebody didn't see early enough what the effects of extreme focus on the girls alone was like. And so today we have a lot of women who the men are not necessarily prepared for, right? Which for me, I think it's not good.
Yeah.
And so we need to be in a space where, one, we are definitely able to understand each other, but also importantly is, how do we help change the narrative so that men get more empowered? Of course, there are men who are empowered men naturally are empowered by who they are.
Yeah.
Okay? By the order of life, by the order of who we are. But because of what happened, even is still happening up until now, there's that clash that has now brought about the extremism.
Yeah.
Where still women want to fight even when some of the men are sort of downtrodden because they don't even have voices, simply because the voice that has been shouting longest and hardest, invested in financially, is the one of the women empowerment, girl child empowerment. So for me, it's really a thing of saying, we need to figure out a way together on how to balance it out, right? Because families today are suffering because the men can't, some men, not all, but some men can't live up to the standard of the women that have been raised in the world today, which for me is quite something. And this is regardless of whether you're, so as Christian men, there's definitely an opportunity for us to stand out of that because God has sort of covered us. But it doesn't eliminate the fact that now we live in a society where these same men might be the people that marry your sister, your cousin, your auntie, whoever it is. And so somehow they'll still get intertwined into your life. So it's a question of how do we work backwards to correct the wrong that happened.
I think that in addition to what he has said, I read somewhere that a woman's confidence should not be a threat to a man's masculinity. I believe that men, as he said, are naturally, they have power naturally. What lacks is that they more often than not, are not empowered to use the power well, so they abuse it. And so what feminism, the movements that came out of this, so feminism came out of a larger ideal of dealing with the evils of the world. When it came to civil rights, when it came to abolition of slave trade, feminism was sneaking through those kinds of, and so because of that, women's rights or feminism was an affront against an evil, an abuse of power by men. And so that became, so it started out as a let's level the playing field. Let's level the playing field. What has happened, unfortunately, is as it evolves and you have extremists in feminism, they are now disempowering men, not just empowering women. It's so you're tearing them down and speaking ill of them and destroying the essence of who a man is. You're trying to, in your efforts to, to plummet the patriarchy or to pull down those are the phrases, destroy the patriarchy. In your efforts to do that, you're destroying masculinity and not the evils that come out of the abuse of power of masculinity. So I think that in a sense, feminism came to redeem womanhood, femininity, the dignity and value of a woman in spaces, in those workspaces for equity and equality. But unfortunately, as you have those extremists coming, and they're the loud ones, they're the ones who are on social media, they're the ones who are tearing down the men and exposing the evils of men who, by the way, might not be the majority. In fact, I dare say that the men that abuse power are usually the minority. It's just that the effects of their abuse of power goes geographically and through time, chronologically. So it spreads wide and through time, and yet it's a few, right? And yet the marginalized men, the subversive men, they're seen as those are just props in the actual scene of the men that have the actual power and that are dominating and that are destroying. So I think that a clear view of its effects of feminism on how masculinity has developed or been destroyed is from seeing it from both those angles, that while femininity was trying to raise women, now it is destroying men, and society is no better for it as we stand, if that is the continued trajectory of feminism.
So I really agree with that, because I've seen lots of spaces where now people want to, let's say, I start up a business, for example, and now I'm like, let me employ only women, because it's like some sort of revenge, so you're pushing the men out, trying to push them back, and then trying to put women at the forefront. And I feel that we need both of them. And just because the past has been so terrible, now we are revenging on men who have nothing to do with it, who are not in that kind of space, who are not treating women that kind of way. And we're now taking the jobs away from the men, we're taking positions away from the men. I honestly don't like the phrase, it's a woman's world. Because as in,
Yeah.
We are here, men and women. What do you mean it's a woman's world? It's our world, all of us.
Because men are trash.
And
Because men
Now you've got that statement right out of my mouth. Because I was going to tell you that you see such generalizations are a result of that extremism.
Yeah.
Right? You have, if you looked back at, say, school or the university, you'll be about 50, 60 people in a class, okay? Or in your course. Now, a girl dates one guy who does all sorts of things to her, and right on from there, she'll say men are trash. It was just one guy out of a class of maybe 28 guys. But just from that one person, all men are trash.
And we cannot even dare say that all women are sluts.
Exactly.
My friend,
Right?
you can be arrested for saying such.
Thank God I'm the one who said it. Do you get?
Yeah.
So I hear that. Like, you cannot generalize just because of your experience.
Yeah, it's very important to drill down to the individual, to the person, so that it's not a generalized thing. Yeah, so that way we are dealing with the evils, with the issues, as opposed to, just throwing blanket statements, because that disadvantages certain people who have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I actually get very disturbed if we're in a group of people, talking about life and different things, and then someone, just wakes up and says, men are trash.
Yeah.
It's just that now, you just have to calm yourself down, put yourself together. But that's very reckless for somebody to say.
Yeah.
It may be three guys, but that's out of a world of, I don't know. Right now, I think 49.5, 50.5 women in Uganda. So 2 guys out of those cannot make everybody else,
Okay.
the evil that you call it.
So we've been talking about masculinity, and we've touched a little on it, on how feminism actually affects masculinity. Does it actually affect in any way? And what is masculinity? How do you define a man? Like for us to say, yeah, he's masculine and all these things, do we feel like these certain roles that have been given by either society or the Bible, etc., have kind of shaped the way we perceive and view men and their role? I think I've asked many things, but
Hey.
answer the one you remember.
Well, I think that the idea of masculinity is really mostly, generally, a social construct in terms of the behavior and roles and expectations of a male man, right? And so those are the things. Society defines those things differently, but the general idea is that it's just the expectations in terms of the roles, in terms of the responsibilities of a man, and as given to the man because of the natural attributes that he has. Okay, so that's what generally masculinity is. So a Christian's view of masculinity might be different from a Muslim's view of masculinity, different from a humanist's view of masculinity. So depending on those social constructs, we will have a jumble of definitions in view of what the expectations are of a man and a woman. And so for me, as an individual, as a person that believes is definitively inclined to the social construct that is the Christian faith, I think that masculinity is typically defined by the attributes that God, for whom the Christian ascribes, to whom the Christian ascribes, that God is the one who defines who a man is, and is the one who describes who a woman is, and is the one who gives them the roles as he has chosen because of the attributes he has given.
I think first break down for us what those things that God defines as a man to be a man.
Well, first of all, he's male.
Okay.
That's a given.
Yeah.
And because he is male, there are aspects in terms of they reflect certain aspects of who God is as a male person because of our physiology, the way we think, so there are certain aspects, the logical thought, the reasoning, the strength the body structure. They bring out attributes of who God is, and because of those things, I get to do certain roles as given to me by God, because I have the ability to do them. If I have the, for instance, the role of giving seed, right? I have the responsibility of taking care of the fruit of my seed. You get?
So actually, dial back a bit. You have the apparatus.
Yes.
That actually provides
Yes.
seed, and it must function a certain way.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you're then able to take care of, because it's under, your care in terms of, things like protection, things like guidance, things like not the nurturing of a mother, from the female side, but nurturing in terms of, this is the actual world that we are in, and this is how you approach it. That's also a kind of nurturing that actually men do. They help their children know and understand the realities of the world.
But are men doing that?
Well,
I dare say yes, in some cases, and there are cases where they are not.
just like the reverse is true.
Yeah.
There are women who are not doing the nurturing that they ought to be.
Really?
Yes.
Well, again, it's subjective. We can say it doesn't matter really, to what degree. The evil that is happening in the world is that there are people who are not taking on these responsibilities, and why they are not taking them on is because of the rebellion. We no longer are viewing God as our primary lawgiver. The rule of life is no longer ascribed to God. It is now we who own it, and because of that, we have the decadence that we see in our society, and especially.
Okay, so as feminism is rising up, we have scenarios where, I don't know about you guys, who do you think should pay for the first date? Just simple answer.
So,
don't over.
So for me, in my opinion, really, it's dating is two friends coming together, right? Listen, friends who are choosing to walk a certain path. So honestly, for me, it doesn't even matter. I know there are many places where it will be a quarrel, it will be what, but it's two people who have chosen to walk a certain path, or choosing.
You've asked this girl out. You've asked me for a date. Who should pay?
Of course, if I've invited you, if I'm done with invited you, absolutely, I'll do it. But if you tell me we should hang, I will have it here just for safety. But
anyone,
please feel free to do it. Like, why are we stressing ourselves? Yeah.
We're having now the rise of
And I know
women
people are
who,
going to kill me for that.
No, not necessarily. Actually, not necessarily. Because I've seen now women who, because of all this femininity and feminism or something, will be like, someone has paid the bill, and like, excuse me, do you think I couldn't be able to pay the bill? Or you now open for other, am I incapacitated? Like now, the traditional kind of man that we wanted, or we looked up, that opens the door, the one who pays the bill. Now all of a sudden, as we're talking about these changes, now all of a sudden the woman is no, it's like it's not what she wants because of all this, and it's like, you can do it, you're independent, you can. And now sometimes I feel, maybe I may be wrong, the men are starting to get lost in, okay, now what do we do? Because now the woman is, I can do, you don't have to. Or
so allow me just quickly sneak this here. If she invited me for a date, all right? Naturally, what would happen for you as a man is you'd still want to take on the bill.
Yeah.
But
Nature.
if she chooses, most times you will definitely resist. But if she pulls that card, my wallet is going back in.
Yeah.
The card of, oh, I'm a woman, who told you I can't pay?
Yeah, I so a few years ago, we used to be at those church circles where the guy carries the chairs because, he's the guy. So there was this whole habit of we try to get the chairs, from the ladies to carry for them as we move from one place to another. And so one of these ladies who was woke, and it's something like that, then asks this gentleman, who happens to be your brother, by the way, asks this gentleman that, so are you doing this because I'm a woman? And he said, no, I'm doing this because I'm a gentleman. and that silenced the entire matter. So for me, I write on that fact that our identity should not be derived in our roles of the things that we do. Our identity is given to us by someone greater than us, the Creator, and therefore we define ourselves. We find our definition as men from Him, and then the roles follow. But when we begin to identify ourselves by the roles we do, we have gone down a rabbit hole that we can't come out of, because it destroys the reality of who we are.
Yeah.
It distorts the reality of who we are.
Yeah.
So when I define you as a woman because you give birth, that I have reduced you to your role, and nothing more. And if that's the case, then I have insulted
the
one
Creator who made you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, this is my struggle with extreme feminism, is you want to be equal, but don't want to be equal. Like, the truth is, you don't want to be equal. I can't be a man.
What do you want to be?
That's the thing. What do they? Because me, I say, because there's a line.
Hey.
What a man can do, a woman can do. I quickly step away because I cannot do what a man can do. Like, I have accepted because I know I cannot be a man. You know, Steve went away a few weeks ago, and that whole week I was like, wow, I appreciated him being the man of the home. Like, it's small things and big things, you know. The washing machine got broken and he was not there, and I was just like, what are we going to do? Like, babe, when are you coming back? You know, it's those things that are, okay, maybe masculine. He's supposed to fix, and I know there are women who fix things, Bambi, no. But you get, he's like, you feel that safety, and you only sometimes see that when someone is not there.
May I interject? It is, while that is I mean, someone might be looking at this and looking at you and saying you're speaking from a place of privilege, because most women, they would say, most women are not experiencing the kind of man that a man who has given himself to 3 other women, right? And so that guy cannot at all give of himself the way Steve gives of himself to you. And that is the norm now, and you get to hear these women saying that's how men are, and so they will obviously be offended by you talking about Steve like that, because you're speaking from a place of privilege. Not every woman has that kind of man. But not every man has that kind of thing. The issue here really is if you're being empowered as a woman, then your eyes ought to be open on what kind of a man you ought to be looking at. One who is empowered to defend the woman, because they have the power to do so. And in this broken world, that power comes in as a defense. That power comes in as a protection. That power comes in as provision, because God has empowered them. God has endowed them with all of these attributes to expose himself to the woman. And so when we fail to do that, especially for the Christian women, the issue isn't to run to men you're failing to provide, you're failing to do all these things. The issue is to go further, that the failure is in recognizing their identity as men because of who they are in God. And if they don't know who they are in God, they cannot fulfill their responsibilities. They cannot give of themselves as they ought to, because they have no relationship with their Creator.
Actually, when you say that, I think two things are drawn to my memory. One is, I think I was listening to radio maybe about a week ago, and this lady said something. She said, I don't care. I never ask my man questions. Wherever he is wherever he is. But for as long as my kids have school fees, tuition, you know, for as long as there's food at home, I'm kawa, right? Then I'm sure we all know of a guy or two where ladies have approached and said, listen, I can take care of everything in my life, just mpo mwana. Right? So what does that tell you? That there's actually been disconnect. The very foundation of who we are has been destabilized, right? The foundations are being shaken, and tossed around and about, which should scare us in a sense, because then we understand that where we are heading is not good. And so it's in our interest as men and women alike, who are under the wings of Christ, to know how to pray for our society, to know how to pray for each other, to know how to stand in the gap, so that things can get back in line. Which ultimately means that we cannot look at things the way they are and just look on. A lot needs to be done in the background, especially within the spiritual space, to see how do we fight the good fight to try and get things back to normal.
I know you guys are Christian men. You've talked about God's identity, the Bible, Beautiful. There are people who seem to think, or say that the Bible, the church, has kind of made patriarchy even, what's the thing? You get it? Go bigger, become even more because of, everything the Bible says, or maybe out of context, but generally, like, the man shall rule over you. You're a weaker vessel. How dare you say I'm a weaker vessel? People are fighting all those things. Or, the Proverbs 31 woman, she's working, she's doing what? And in conclusion, they say the man was at the city gate, just chilling. So we don't know, okay, maybe you break it down for us. He was not just chilling. He was
certainly break
So that's the perception anyway, that the church and the Bible kind of makes patriarchy even more profound and is diminishing women. Even when I talk about things like, when Titus talks about the women should be busy at home, and guys are like, after the movement and they have brought you out of this, you're taking women back. And that's the perception. What would you have to say?
Well, first of all, let me start with that Proverbs 31 woman situation. Did you know that there is a Proverbs 31 man?
Just tell us. I don't know, because...
So here's the thing. I think one of the errors that...
Please school them.
this is a did you know moment. The Proverbs 31... Yeah. The Proverbs 31 woman, yes, has been fronted. And truth be told, it has been fronted by negative nuances of the patriarchy that has blinded especially women from seeing the truth of the scriptures, and instead to make them be subordinate to and then perpetuate this ideal of patriarchy that is evil, for the lack of a better word. But if you read the entire context of Proverbs 31, from verse 1 to 9, it's talking about the Proverbs 31 man. The kind of man in Proverbs 31 is the one who sits at the city gates, because that was the place of authority in making decisions. That man was the king, Lemuel, that his mother was writing to.
Yes.
And so that king doesn't take to drinking, that king doesn't take to women, that king looks out for the needs of his community, that king is concerned about the justice of his people. That man is the one who gets the Proverbs 31 woman. The Proverbs 31 woman gets to be that kind of woman because that man is in that position and is doing that. He's chasing after what that man's vision and purpose in life is beyond him. It has a lot more to do with God and his purposes in bringing justice in the world. And so when the woman comes alongside him, the privilege of being part of that woman, the privilege of being part of that kind of sect of women who come together because their husbands are chasing after the things of God.
Yeah.
That's the Proverbs 31 woman. And they don't make them, they don't make themselves. God is the one who makes them. And that's how they get to be that kind of woman. So for me, as far as Proverbs 31 is concerned, I find it a challenge to push for the Proverbs 31 woman without having the conversation about the Proverbs 31 man.
Yeah.
All right? Okay. The fall, and maybe my brother will hint on it a little more. I think the idea, I like what Ecclesiastes does. Ecclesiastes gives you plainly what life under the sun is, and by that phrase he's referring to the fact that in this fallen world, this is what life is. It is unfair, it is perplexing, it is infuriating, it is vanity, it's just pointless. That happened in Genesis 3:16 when the woman has when they have fallen, man and woman have fallen, and God begins to speak about the judgment. When he begins to speak judgment on each one of them, the woman's judgment was referring to the relationship she first of all will have with her own natural abilities. Just like the man will have, he will have toil, he will toil. The woman, as far as her body is concerned, she's going to toil in giving birth. But in terms of her relationship with the man, she will desire the man and he will rule over her. We have to go back to Genesis 1:26, which gave a clarity in terms of this is how God created them equal, male and female. And they were to rule over the things God has given them. Now, because the fall has happened, the fall was a reflection of man and woman's rebellion against God. And because that rebellion is there, the woman begins to usurp the man's authority, and the man will then clap back and rule over her. In that story, in that poetic story, the serpent knew and went to the woman first, not to the man. Deceived the woman. The man made the choice without the deception to eat the fruit. You get? So there was an authority that was usurped. The man should have been the one who said, no, this is the direction. But instead that didn't happen. The woman gave the direction. Right? And so in that sense, when God is described, when that phrase in 16, that the woman's desire will be for the man, isn't just she will want the man. They will desire. No. It is to usurp the authority. And because of that, you will find men clapping back because of their evil as well. They will be like, you're messing around, I'm going to squash you like a bag. And so every wave of feminism that has come out has resulted into more violence. It has resulted into more men clapping back and saying now that this is where the toxic masculinity comes, and people are proud of it because they're saying we are clapping back because the women. Who do you think you are? We also have our own rights. We're also going to show you what's up. And so we'll use our own brute strength to squash whatever feminism may come our way, because we feel like we're being offended and our masculinity is now being defined by our own brute strength, which takes us back.
So I agree with you. I think there's need for us to read the scripture in its entirety. And I think what we keep and I don't know why we do it, but we keep forgetting. We all know how to tell people, but you've only read one verse. We all say that. You've only read one verse. And now we're all reading Proverbs 31:10-31, right? And focusing on that. I can guarantee you, if you asked anyone here to recite without opening their Bible now, 1-9, it will be a movie. Why? Because the focus is on.
Because we pick what we want to hear.
Yes, exactly.
And what aligns with what we're already thinking and what we're feeling and what we actually want to move with.
So for you to understand 10-31, you need to dial back a bit, go to from 1 to, and then in fact I like that you actually brought in Genesis, because it clearly tells us what happened. Not to get back into what is already said, but it was very clear. There was a change in the order of things as God had designed it without necessarily telling the man, because he had put a partnership to say, you guys go and rule. Now, when they went equal, so to speak, someone took authority in their own whatever, took a decision, and that's the thing about authority. One of the purposes of authority, of leadership, is to persuade the people following, the people under you, to do things the way you'd like them to be done. Now, when that was changed, she persuaded, because that was now some form of leadership, convinced him to go. Now him, when he did it, all right, and man, I just give me a high five. I like how you said it. He didn't do it out of what the serpent said, but out of what his fellow level authority person convinced him to do. And so so that changed the natural order of things, which should help us sort of see how do we work backwards to restructure our society. And the restructure is not even about me lording it over. It's really about leadership. It's about journeying together, but knowing that, there's somebody who takes the first step, and that is the man. And that does not mean that what you think or any thoughts you have or any ideas should be trashed just because I'm a guy. No. Yeah. So we can have the conversation, but in many cases, and especially when we speak about family, when we speak about, such spaces, then we need to be able to understand what God's calling is. Yeah. The workspace is different, what we call the marketplace. So at the office, you'll have a female MD, and that's actually okay, right? But when it comes to some of these natural order of things as God has so set for us, because the first unit of our Christian society is from the family. The family is led by the man.
Woo! Guys, we could go on and on. I've got some amazing perspectives, and I'm glad you guys came. Thank you for being here. There is so much to talk about, but we cannot finish it. I think we've done like 2 hours. Anyway, thank you guys for being here, and I hope you guys have picked something. Always, Lisa Kusima channel here to inspire you. I hope you've been inspired. So women out there, please, balance. It's called balance. But yeah, I'm always here to inspire.